Hi, my name's Aiden Middlebrooks, and I'm here with Mr. Bruce Ayers, who's owner of the Stardome Comedy Club. He's gonna, first off, could you tell us how you got started in the comedy business?
Well, I will, but first of all, Aiden, how are you, buddy?
I'm
Are we going to do this? Let's knock this out. We're going to make it great, and I'm glad that you're interviewing me today. So you want to know how I got started in the comedy business?
Sure.
Well, let me tell you, it's a long story because it goes way back. Now, way back in 1975, a friend of mine opened up a nightclub called the Cobblestone, and there was a street downtown called Morris Avenue. So I was working a regular job, and I went down there to help him, and I just kind of loved this business of where people come in, you entertain them and show them a good time. So there was the Cobblestone, then some other friends of mine opened up another club. It was called Brentwood's, which was a dance club. It was a disco club. And then there was Brentwood's, there was Cassidy's, there was Singles. So I had all these different businesses. And then one day I went to Atlanta and I saw this club that had these stand-up comedians. And I'm going, man, I think that would be a great idea. So in October of 1983, I opened up the first comedy club, and that's how it all started.
Sounds nice. Jimmy Fallon recently gave you a great shout out, along with a generous donation. Could you tell us how you've used it?
Yeah, well, let me tell you about the whole deal with Jimmy. I mean, that was such a surprise. We got a call from people in his office and said that, Jimmy was trying to help small business, and he decided to pick a few comedy clubs, which we were so fortunate that he picked us, and for them to give us a shout out on national TV was absolutely wonderful. And then they did give us a really nice donation. Well, let me tell you about the donation and what that does. And we were talking earlier about when people say to me, how's the club doing? And what I said, hey, we're still open. Because when you have a small business, and there are so many small businesses in Hoover all over the country. And with a small business, it's not like you have tons of money. Everybody is struggling, going day to day to day, just trying to make it work, working really hard. And then when this pandemic hit and all the businesses shut down, we were shut down for 4 months. I have 70 people that were working here. They weren't working, thankfully, there was some money from unemployment where they got some money, but the whole idea was trying to get back into business. So everybody's been struggling. Now we can open up, but we can only do half the people that we used to be able to do because of social distancing, and we understand that, but it's trying to keep the business alive. So every penny that you can get is going to keep somebody else working and keeping us from going under, because when you have a small business and you don't have a whole lot of money, you have a bad week or a bad month, you could be out of business. And once you're out of business, it's really tough to get back into it. So for him to give us that little push, it was tremendous help, and it's just paying the bills and keeping everybody working. Because, some of these people have been working for me for 20 years, and, I feel responsible. I want to take care of them, and we all want to work. So it's like what you guys are doing today. This is wonderful because it lets people know a little bit about our business, and all the other businesses that you're going to do, they're going to be so appreciative, because right now we all need that, because everything is so kind of messed up. Nobody's working, they're having a hard time. So people are working really hard to get it back. So you guys doing this, in the city of Hoover, everybody trying to help out, you're doing a really good thing. Thank you.
You assist our first responders every year in raising funds for the Camp Conquest Burn Camp.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you find it so important?
Well, let me tell you about that. Chief Wingate, former fire chief, in Hoover came to me a number of years back, and he said, you know, we're trying to raise money for Camp Conquest. He goes, let me tell you about it. So they told me all about it. I went down and visited the camp. And of course, what Camp Conquest is, it's for all these pediatric burn victims. So, you know, children get burned in a fire. You know, it's really horrible when you get burnt. And it's, you know, your life is just, you know, it's just horrible. But what they do with this event is 1 week a year, they take all of these burned children and they bring them down to Camp Conquest. And they have a wonderful week with all these activities, with all these other kids. They get to feel normal for a week. You know, they bring their siblings down and all the other kids, and it's one little bitty thing that we can do to make their lives a little better. And you know, the Hoover Fire Department does such a wonderful job with this. And it's not only the fire department, it's also our police department, it's also our first responders. You know, I mean, I hope people realize what a wonderful and great fire department, police department, and all of our city officials here in Hoover, of what quality people they are and what hard work they do. So we're just pleased to be a little part of this event with them.
The Stardome Comedy Club has had some big names come through. It's helped launch some successful careers. Who are your favorite comedians?
Well, it's we've had so many favorite comedians. I'll tell you a couple of stories about a couple of the comics, and that'll give you an idea. First of all, when people say to me, who's your favorite comedian? I always tell them this story. There was a guy, his name was Ollie Joe Prater. And Ollie Joe was a big country guy, wore a cowboy hat, had a big hat. And he was so funny. Have you ever laughed so hard that you're bent over and your belly's hurting? You're just, oh my God, it's the funniest thing in the world. Well, Ollie Joe did that to the audience. And Ollie Joe would be up on stage, and Cheech and I would be in the hallway, and people come running out of the showroom. And I go, what's the matter? She goes, I can't take it, I'm laughing so hard. So Ollie Joe just made people laugh so hard, and he was one of our favorite guys. Unfortunately, he passed away, you know, in 1992 or 1991, but Ollie Joe. But some of the people, like there's a guy named Sinbad. Sinbad was our first big act who ever performed at our club. He was the first one to become a star. So we have Sinbad. Then there's this guy from Cleveland. Now you may have heard of him. Let me see. He's got all these TV shows. His name is Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
You heard of Steve? Well, he's on every single TV show. Here's a story about Steve. Steve was just like one of the regular comics that would come to our club. So I said to him, I said, you know what? I think you're ready to be a star. You're ready to move up to be a headliner. And he's never been a headliner before. Nobody ever gave him a chance. So we made him the headliner. And he did awesome. I mean, he did awesome. And he became this big, huge, gigantic star. But he never forgot about us. He kept coming back to the club and saying nice things on the radio. And so he is one of the greatest guys for us. And then there's another guy named Ricky Smiley. He's from right here. He's a national radio star. There's a guy named Rodney Carrington. He's a singing cowboy. So there's so many guys that have come through over the years. I mean, it's been 37 years we've been doing this. I mean, I think I was your age when we started, Monkey. But, so there's been a lot of really, really good guys.
Names that come through town. Do you have any memorable tales you can share? Keep in mind, I'm 11.
11. Okay. Well, remember I told you about Ollie Joe? Okay. So Ollie Joe, here's what I didn't tell you about Ollie Joe. Ollie Joe was a big man. And I mean big. I mean, he weighed like 500 pounds. Ollie Joe. So we invited him. He was here one time performing when it was Thanksgiving. So we invited him to our house for Thanksgiving. And being you got a guy 500 pounds, you think he's going to eat a lot. we got him his own turkey. He ate the whole turkey, he did all that. I mean, but the greatest guy. Then there's another guy that comes, and he's kind of, I don't get it, but got this one guy, I'm not going to say what his name is, but he had a thing that every time he came in and he went on stage, we'd have to have him a brand new pair of sneakers to wear. So I'm back there, he's going to perform 5 shows, I got 5 pairs of sneakers back there. Now what kind of crazy stuff is that? Why would somebody do that? He just wanted to have clean sneaks, and I go, well, how are you going to get them dirty? So crazy things like that happen, but really, most of the guys that come, they're the greatest guys, they're good people, you know, they work hard, and you know, so it's not too much crazy stuff, it's just, you know, goofy stuff like that sometimes. Why do you gotta have shoes? Why don't you bring your own shoes? But we did it because that was just part of the deal.
We could all use a little more laughs right now. What are some acts coming up in the future?
You know, you are so right about people needing laughs right now. You know, because you think about it, over the last, since March, you know, it's all been gloom and doom, and you know, we got the pandemic, we got all this other stuff, and all the stuff you've seen on TV, we got an election, and all this stuff is going through your head. And the thing about the comedy club is, and this is our goal, is I want people to come in and forget about all that stuff for a couple of hours and just sit down and relax. Now remember a few minutes ago when I asked you, as you ever bent over, when you were laughing that hard, how'd you feel?
I don't know, happy?
Yeah, and good. Well, that's what we want. The comedy club is all about laughter, where people come in to laugh, they have a good time, they walk out, and a lot of times, you know, when you're feeling bad or you're depressed or something, and you have a really good laugh, it kind of perks you up, it gives you a better attitude. So that's what we try to do. We try to let people have that experience when they come, and for them to laugh. And so my job and our job here is to have the right acts, and then to make sure that they would come in, that the people at the front door are friendly, going, hey Aiden, how are you? Come on in. And then the servers are taking care of you, and then we got all these fancy lights, it looks like Las Vegas, and then we put on a really great show, and everybody's taking care of you, so when you go out there, you go, man, that was great. So that's what we try to do. And then, to go along with that, since we are the comedy club, we want to get the best acts. So what I tell people about that is kind of the comedy club's kind of like the movies. Like you may go to a movie theater and then one day it's your favorite movie, but the next night they may have a movie that you don't like. So you don't go that night, you go this night. So what I'm saying is people will pick the shows that are right for them and they'll come and see it. So that's what we try to do. But coming up, we got, you know, some of the favorites we talked about. We got Sinbad coming up. We got James Gregory coming up. Rodney Carrington. There's this crazy lady. You'll see her on YouTube. Her name is Tammy. Please look up Tammy. She's new, and she's kind of like a real country girl who's going through drive-through, and you know, just crazy. So she's new, and we're always looking for new acts that you may have seen on television, or you know, like you guys see on social media, or TikTok, or you know, whatever it is. We're trying to find the acts that people really like that they want to come and see. So that's my job. I'm the one who books the comics. So I'm always trying to. So if you ever see somebody funny, please call me and say, Bruce, why don't you try this guy out? I think he's great. And a lot of times that's what happens. People will call and say, man, I saw this guy on YouTube or this or that, and that's how we book.
Before we close off, is there anything you want to say to the people of Hoover?
I sure do. First of all, we've been in this building 27 years. I want to thank everybody in Hoover, you know, for the support all these years. But right now, what I think I would love for everybody to do is really support our local businesses. You know, there's so many great businesses in Hoover, and we need to support them. We need to buy local. We need to, you know, all group together take care of them so we can get through this. And all these people that work so hard their whole life to develop their business and build their business, let's try to keep them in business. And if we all support it and do our job, I think we can do it. So, but Aiden, you were awesome, buddy. I think, you might be the next Jack Warrior. You're going to be on the news. I'm going to say, you know what? I knew Aiden when he was 11. I mean, when he was just starting. I mean, we did this together. I think you could do it. You can be a star. Thanks, buddy.
This has been Aiden interviewing Mr. Bruce from the city of Hoover. Remember to stay safe and shop local.